Hello to everybody out there. I am super excited today to present another one of our facilitators for the Future of Strengths Forum. This is our virtual forum, the first ever one, coming up in September on the 13th and 14th if you're in the Western Hemisphere, 14th and 15th if you're in the Eastern Hemisphere. And hopefully you will be able to join us for this amazing two-day event. We have 22 facilitators, 6 global speakers. We have panels, and there is something for every time zone. And today we are going to be talking to Verite Hunter, who is in the United Kingdom. And with that, Verite, tell us a little bit about you, where you are, what you do, and anything else you might want to share with the folks out there.
Yeah, so I'm a somatic experiencing practitioner primarily, but I also do a lot of coaching as well. So yeah, I'm in the north of the UK. Have a range of different interests, but I particularly enjoy working with people who've experienced complex trauma and also huge interest in neurodiversity as well.
Oh, wow, fascinating. Excellent. Well, and that fits perfectly in with what we're going to be doing at the forum this year. But before we talk about what you're going to be speaking on and sharing with our attendees, I know you just recently did the CliftonStrengths profile as part of our agreement collaboration here on the assessment, because everything we want to do is also about how we use our strengths. So since you've actually discovered your talents, and what those are based on the other assessments you've used, the Spiky profile that I know you're going to be talking about, like what has been your aha or observation? What have you noticed now that you've had that language to work with?
I think one of the main things that came up for me was that the fact that I was actually like really quite high in strategic, because I'm always talking about how I actually need strategies. But then I want to kind of break it down, like I understood it a little bit more. Like when I looked at, like being an arranger, um, and that's really interesting because it's something we're going to get into a little bit into the workshop as well, is sort of like working out what your organization style is.
Mhm.
Um, so we're going to kind of play a little bit around with that, and yeah, so lots of different things in that. But I think that made a lot of sense to me because like I said, it's not just sort of how my brain works, but why my brain does it, and it kind of broke it down for me a lot more, and it just kind of helped confirm my identity in that. I know that communication's always been high and stuff, but knowing as well that I think that might be a skill that I've kind of honed in on the last few years. So it was just really validating to have it there and to understand how I do it. Because I think strategic, you think that it kind of has a start, middle, and end, and it's like it's very few linesy. And for me, it's not necessarily. It doesn't look like that. My strategic looks kind of like very visual, but it's more kind of block, and then it's got elements of like futuristic in there and stuff as well, and foresight, which made a lot of sense, because then I can kind of understand it from more of a creative whole aspect than just looking at strategic as being rigid.
Right. Oh, I love it. You said a couple of words that I think are perfect. So being able to say it's sort of validated, right? I often say you're not going to learn something new about yourself necessarily. There's not going to be any big surprises, but I think it can be very validating or confirming, and also a kind of, oh, right, that's why I do it, or at least that's why I do it that way. Right. So it puts those pieces together. And the fact that you brought up a ranger, I also have a ranger, and I always talk about it. It's kind of a very systematic talent, but your form of organizing is not going to look like my form of organizing. It just means we both like to organize things in a certain way that works for us, right? We're
Mhm.
drawn to that. So excellent. Well, thank you so much. So you mentioned that you're going to be bringing up a little bit of this in the forum. So tell us what you're going to be doing for the attendees. What can they expect from your workshop?
Yeah, I'm really excited about kind of bringing a few different elements into it. So you can kind of get a base a lot of the workshop bits around kind of the key skills that I have and what I can bring there. So we're going to look at some communication stuff. So we're going to be bringing some elements of like NVC in, but a little bit more kind of nonviolent communication games, so compassionate communication. Like how can we hone in on our listening skills, and how can we do that like sensomatically as well with some sensory motor tools. And we're going to be looking a little bit at sort of yeah, the arranger element of organizing, like finding out what's your organizing style. so there's four different types of organizing style. We've got like the ladybugs who like to kind of hide everything in a drawer. Then we've got kind of the visual people. Then we've got the butterflies who just leave things everywhere. So it's like actually understanding what your organization style is, and then how can that kind of look like, what can that look like in your home? Because as soon as you have the organization tools to actually do the thing that you need to do, like kind of having kind of clipboards of things and like labeled containers and jars have just changed my life in terms of organization. If you're like a visual person, like that's what you need. So we're going to have a play around of rearranging a desk and a shelf and what that can tell you about yourself.
Oh, so what does it look like if your organizing style is out of sight, out of mind, but what you really want is for everything to be completely visual? Because if it's not, like, I wish I could have everything behind like glass doors. I can't
Yeah,
stand not seeing everything.
yeah. So there's two different types of kind of those people. There are the people that will kind of use something, and then once it's done they'll hide it away, like put it away. There are people who just like the clean kitchen service, like once they've used the toaster they'll actually put the toaster in a cupboard so it's not out.
Oh no, that's far
And then
too
you
much for
have
me.
and then you have the people who actually do like use the thing but they want to visually see it. So it's everyday items that they want to kind of visually see, and everything's kind of got sections and corners.
Yeah,
But kind of going through the organization style, which we'll do in the workshop, I'm not going to go too much into it,
yeah,
but it talks about kind of how you can have your organizational space. So some people will literally go through and organize all the different color pens. It's more about detail oriented, whereas some people will just go, this is that space, this is that space, this is that space, and that's kind of how they organize, so that when they understand what their brain is actually doing, they can kind of map their environment to fit them as well. So it's,
oh, I love that. I love that. I think that'll be really interesting and super helpful for a lot of people out there. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's going to be so hard for me because I can't go to all of the workshops. I only get to like peek in a little bit here and there. So I'm going to have to be watching recordings, but I think it's going to be so much fun. And so finally, just to have a little bit of fun and to get to know another side of you, I'm going to ask you a would you rather question. But the trick is you have to give me a number 1 through 20, and I will then pick the question that is there.
okay.
So
Okay.
what number would you like?
Ooh, I'm trying to like tap into my foresight, which I think we did today with the earrings, but I don't know if we can do it in this
I
game.
can't believe we wore the same earrings. It's so
Yeah.
funny.
I want to say number five.
Mm, I'm drawn to this question, and I'll tell you why after you answer. Would you rather be able to speak every language in the world, or would you rather know how to talk to animals, be able to talk to animals? So speak every language or talk to animals.
Oh, that's a hard one. Um, my brain is like split because I think that I already do talk to animals. They maybe just don't know talk to my cat all the time.
Okay,
Um,
maybe have them talk back to you. Would you rather be able to understand them talking back to you or speak every language?
I think, yeah, I think probably the animals one. Um, and I think the reason why is because I've always wanted to learn like a language, but if I was to speak like every single language, I just think it would be too much for my brain, and there's already enough going on in there as it is. As you can tell, I couldn't even decide a question, let alone speak loads of languages.
I know. Would you rather questions are always the hardest for me. So it's probably funny that I even picked this as a strategy to get to know people, but I do kind of find them fun. My son loves would you rather questions. So we've been doing a lot of them on our summer vacation this time. And just to go with that, mine would be speak to animals, because whenever you ask the question of what did you want to be when you grow up, my answer was always Dr. Dolittle,
I love that show. It was such
because
a good show.
I wanted animals to know they could talk to me. Like I was fully trustworthy. And so I would walk around trying desperately to get animals to believe that I was trustworthy enough for them to like reveal their secrets to me. Didn't,
Yeah.
but I really wanted it to.
Yeah, I get that. I think it's the same like with me. I mean, I'm always talking to my cat and she is meowing back to me, and I think that's some form of communication. Like I think we do get each other on that level. When I'm out in the street and I see like birds and crows, I do have a thing where like I bow to them because I've learned that
Mhm.
that's how they communicate. So I've learned a lot from like
Oh,
watching
very
nature
cool.
documentaries and other things about
Mhm.
how to mimic movements and how what like blinking your eyes slowly at a cat means, and like how do you talk to this animal? That's probably my Google thing. Um, so I'm making an effort in some way.
Well, I wish you all the luck with that. Is there anything else you would love our audience to know at this point?
No, I just say, yeah, come along if you're curious and you're not quite sure, come along and give it a go. It's gonna be fun, it's gonna be interactive. And I think anyone who's generally neurodiverse, if you are new to any kind of diagnosis, or even if you're just generally curious and you don't have a diagnosis, working with both Clifton and Spiky Strengths is going to be an amazingly massive benefit to you. So I just to say, come along and find out more.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And yes, please take Verity's invitation up. She actually has her own registration link as well. So if you'd like to support Verity by sharing some of the revenue with her in our co-op effort to build this forum, I will make sure that everyone has your link so they can register with you. And Verity, thank you so much for jumping into this, even without knowing a ton about it. And I really just appreciate your generosity and your willingness to go along. So thank you so much for doing that. And everyone else, you will find the information to register and to learn more down in the comments.
Thank you. Thanks, Jay. It's been great.
Thanks.